May in Cincinnati, Ohio. What's up, May? How we doing?
Hey, Dr. John, how are you?
So good, so good. How is Cincinnati?
Chilly.
That's if you live above Oklahoma for the next 4 months, the normal response is cold, chilly, dark. So anyway, that's awesome. Okay, so how can I help today, May?
Okay. So, I was calling a couple years ago. My husband's parents died in a car accident.
Mm-hmm. Hey, take a breath. Take a breath.
And he has chosen to cope with alcohol.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry.
Trying to collect myself, sorry.
No, you're good. So while you're doing that, I'll restate it. So a couple of years ago, your husband's parents tragically died. Was it a car wreck?
Yes.
Okay. So they died suddenly and out of the blue in a car wreck, and your husband has chosen to cope with that with alcohol. That's been his numbing methodology of choice over the last few years, right?
Yes. And it has started to spiral out of control.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on 3 years, and I'm just starting to feel really resentful of him.
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
Because he just really checks out, and I don't know how to deal with all of these feelings I have.
So talk to me about him. You said, I feel resentful. I want you to verbalize for me. What does resentful mean?
He works and he drinks, and that is about the extent of his day.
Yeah.
He comes home, he disconnects from me, he disconnects from the kids. He doesn't really engage with us. He doesn't help me around the house. I have begged, pleaded, cried for him to get help, to help me, and he just doesn't hear me. He would rather just drink and spend time on his phone and just shut down.
So I'm going to ask a couple of probing questions, okay? And you don't even have to go into them. You can just yes or no them, okay? I'm just trying to get a full picture of your husband here. Has he been faithful all 3 years?
About a year ago, I found out he was talking to other women online.
Okay. Has he ever been with any of them?
He says no.
Okay.
And none of them were local, so I doubt it.
Okay. Is he going to work? Is he staying?
Yes.
He's drinking. His drinking hasn't taken over to the point that he's not going to work anymore, right?
No, he goes.
Okay.
Probably hungover or maybe still drunk, but he goes.
Okay. Tell me about his parenting. Is he engaged with your kids, or is he just completely checked out?
Completely checked out.
Okay. How old are your kids?
Well, they're his kids. My kids are grown.
Okay.
They're 14 and 15.
Okay. And how long have y'all been married?
About 13 years.
13 years. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the man he was before the accident.
Honestly, it's really hard to. It's just been so much that it's really hard to remember all the good things because I'm so deep in resentment at this point. He was more engaged with the kids and as the family. He drank, but it was casually.
Mm-hmm. And then he never grieved this, never dug into his feelings about his parents and worked through this. He just checked out, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give you some hard truth, okay? And I'm going to be as honest with you as I can at the same time as compassionate as I can because they're only words that can describe the situation and this just sucks. And I hate this for you. And this is your second marriage, is that right?
No, this is my first.
Your first marriage, okay. But you have other grown kids?
Yeah, my kids are older, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this sucks. So here's the thing. Resentment is the nails in the coffin of a relationship. It is very, very hard to come back from resentment. And if somebody's sitting in front of me and they are having to choose between anger and rage and resentment, I'll take anger and rage 7 days out of the week. 7 days, 7 days a week. Because resentment is so hard to come back from. It's just poison. And it's also not unfounded, right? The guy you married a decade in experienced a life-altering tragedy and he disappeared on you, right? I want you to, as much as you can, get out of his head and get out of his heart, because that's going to kill you, literally, okay? Why he's doing what he's doing feels personal, and it feels like it's an attack on you. And if he's a true debilitated alcoholic, it probably has little to nothing to do with you, okay? He's got a whole bunch of demons he's trying to keep at bay. Does that make it right? No. Is it ridiculous? Yes. Is it killing everybody in your house? Yes. But you getting in his head and trying to figure out why he's doing this, I wish he was doing this, if he would just, that's only beating you up. That's not solving any of your problems. And so you've got to make a plan. There is no relational healing while somebody's an alcoholic. There just isn't. There is no way people get well until people get sober, because you're not dealing with the person, you're dealing with the shadow of a person. And this goes to people who work 120 hours a week and someone wants to fix their marriage, then they got to stop because they're addicted to busyness. And folks who are addicted to fill in the blank, pornography, drugs, alcohol, whatever the addiction is, whatever the numbing behavior is, they have to stop that for a period of time before any relational healing can happen. And so what I'm telling you is, you are now in a place 3 years later. This isn't a phase. This has become a way of life. Your kids deserve better than this. You deserve better than this. And your husband deserves better than this. All right? He is amidst despair, and that sucks. But until he decides through his own heart that he wants to get well, then your relationship is going to be what your relationship is. And so what you have to do is you've got to start making decisions for yourself. And that's going to look like getting some people that you trust in your life that will sit down with you, walk alongside you, whether that's an intervention with your husband, whether that is you saying, I'm going to move out for 30 days until you decide to get yourself well, whether that is you deciding this is just going to be what this is for the next 5 or 6 years until the kids graduate, whatever that happens to be. But resentment is, it's just like the old AA saying, resentment is poisoning yourself and hoping he's going to die. You're the one that's bearing the brunt of that resentment and those kids, not him.
Right.
And so when you think about if you were to move out tomorrow, or you were to ask him to move out tomorrow, does that give you relief and peace in your heart, or does that make you real anxious and angry and frustrated?
Anxious.
Why does it make you feel anxious?
Because it feels like it's just removing him from the situation where he would probably just be able to drink in peace, and I'd still have all of the responsibilities because I don't know that he would be capable of taking care of the kids.
And do you hear that language that you're talking about? You've got to make peace with that. You are the only one taking care of those kids, and it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. And the longer you lean into, I have to take care of these kids, and it's because of him, you're literally poisoning yourself.
Okay.
You're going to have to change the way you talk to yourself, that voice inside your own head, because the chemical response of your body is poisoning you. You just are living off cortisol and adrenaline for the last 2 or 3 years. My guess is you probably haven't had a chance to grieve either because you've been trying to keep a duct-taped house together.
Right.
Have you met with somebody? Have you ever sat down with a counselor and just says, here's my last couple of years?
I started to.
Yeah.
Probably about a year ago.
Okay.
And she really just honed in on his drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And how I needed to get him help, and I didn't find that helpful.
Listen, that's a crappy therapist, dude, because you can't help somebody like that. All you can help is you, right? And so
right.
I want to tell you that your therapist didn't do a good job, and there's somebody out there in your local community that's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so I want to encourage you to go again, because you're at the plan-making stage now. You are at the what is going to be next for me, because now I'm living with a alcoholic who was a functional alcoholic and now he's disappearing. Because the next step is he's going to skip a day of work. And then he's going to not go back the next day, and then he's going to stop being employed. This is just a trajectory now, okay?
Okay.
And the older your kids get, they're absorbing every second of that tension, every second of that resentment, and you're going to have to do the best you can to double down on how much you love them. Make sure you are touching their face every day. I want you to hold their face every day and tell them how much you love them. Tell them how grateful you are that you get to be their mom. I want you to plan. I know you're exhausted, I know, but I want you to plan dates with them. I want you to just go pick up donuts every once in a while. And I think eating donuts is terrible, but there's just some joy, right? Nothing a little carbs and sugar can't take the edge off of. I want you to find joy in giving them laughter, and I want you to find joy in giving them connection, because that connection and laughter is going to heal you too. But until you let him off, I mean, he's out. You got to just begin setting up each morning without him in the picture, because he's gone, okay? I have 100% faith in redemption. I've just known too many former alcoholics who completely turn it around. And sometimes it takes an intervention. Sometimes it takes rock bottom. Sometimes it takes fill in any number of blanks. But I do know this about addiction. The only person that can help somebody get well with alcohol is them. They have to make that decision. And then they got to seek out a community that's going to walk alongside them for the rest of their lives. And that's going to involve dealing with his parents' death. That's going to involve dealing with the pain of this marriage. That's going to be a lot of adventures he's going to have to walk through. And if you're by his side, oh, that'd be so beautiful. It'd be great. But also you need to live in the reality that you're living with an addict, and your relationship will not get well until he chooses to get himself well. And until you choose to get yourself well. And you are living on bitterness and rage right now, resentment. Is that fair?
And I think that's fair. And I think some of it is like we've had conversations where I've confronted him on the drinking, maybe confronted is a bad word, but like talked with him about it, and he like acknowledges it, that it's a problem and it's causing issues in their marriage. And then what he does now is he hides it from me.
Right. And he continuing to challenge him on the drinking is futile. I want you just to stop doing that. Okay. It's not helpful.
Okay.
It's not going to change. If he knew how to be connected with you, if he knew how to fully be loved by you, if he knew how to grieve the loss of his parents and to grieve the loss of his innocence and how to be a father who is totally present with his teenage kids, he wouldn't need alcohol. And if he was able to process childhood traumas that existed, he would need to numb that out. And so he can't. And so at this point, beating him up about it isn't helping. That drives it underground, like you just said. Mm-hmm. And so what he needs is you to love him, but you need to begin to love you. And you need to begin to honor yourself and those kids. And that starts with you healing from the inside out. And you cannot do that by yourself. And you can't do it with an addict. So you're going to have to go get a counselor. You're going to have to get a group of women in your community that you can trust, you can sit with, not for griping and whining sessions, but for sessions where they can just hear your feelings, hear your pain, sit with you, and then walk with you as you begin to heal from that. Healing may look like therapy. It may look like you being really intentional about a workout program and a nutrition program. It may look like you being really intentional about being a hyper-connected parent, doubling down on those kids and loving them. It may look like you journaling and doing gratitude work every single day, so you begin to shift your default setting from one of resentment and that piece of crap who's just sitting on the couch dragging this boat underwater. You cut that rope. You cut the rope. He's not going to anchor you down anymore, and then y'all going to rise above it. So, but that starts with you honoring yourself. And my opinion is you need to get a counselor. You find a new counselor that's not going to spend all your money and your time talking about somebody else, but it's going to talk about you and what you can do to get well, and then you run from there. So, May, thank you so much for the call. That's a hard one, man, because there's not an easy solution, and you're on a long, long journey. That's why I just started the whole call with saying this sucks, because you're in it now. But we'll be thinking about you. If you decide to make some major transitions, if you decide to have an intervention with his friends and his family. If you decide to go see somebody, call me back. Let me know how your walk and your journey is going. And I'll be here to help.